Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Home to Self podcast. Today, I really just felt called to sit down and chat a little bit about a theme that has been very alive for me lately. And that is really just shaping my view and my motto of life as a whole. And it's the idea of letting love lead, right? Living beyond the mind, the mental constructs of what you think your life should be, and fully trusting in whether you want to call it life itself or your intuition or something greater than you or the unknown. It's really starting to live your life from a place of deep intuition and this flow with the universe itself versus these constructs of who you think you should be and the life that you should be living. And to some degree, I've lived my life like this for many, many years. But I think this work always comes in layers based on our own experience. And lately, this has been a huge theme of mine, is really how deeply can I let go of the shoulds of my mind, of what I think I need to do and who I should be, and fully embracing whatever is alive for me and wherever life is guiding me to go, which to me is such a deep connection with love. Love being the highest form of trust, essentially, and our greatest compass in this life, and also our greatest teacher. And that is love for life, really love for whatever it is that lights you up, whether it's in relationships or in business or in your creations. Really, in all areas of our lives, can we trust love over fear? And it's easy to say that, but it's a whole nother thing to actually live your life that way. And what I've come to realize is that really that's my greatest teacher in life, is trusting myself over my mind, trusting my body, trusting my feelings, trusting my heart, trusting my intuition above where I think I should go, what step I should take next. It's a completely different game to play. And I've noticed over and over and over again in my life that that is truly the access point to living a life that truly lights you up. A life that feels so alive, so full of passion and creativity and abundance and magnetism. And there, it reminds me of that quote that says, the longest journey you'll ever take is the 18 inches from your head to your heart. And when we can live from that place, it opens up a completely new reality for us. But it takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of surrender. It takes faith. And it takes some practice to really start to build up some lived proof that your intuition is really worth following, that life is truly guiding you beyond your own mental compass, your own mental predictions of how you should be living. And so this is just going to be kind of a free-flowing podcast, touching on all of this, sharing some personal examples, and really the lessons that I've been extracting in my own life that I think are going to be really, powerful for you too, and relevant hopefully to your experience, because it can be applied across the board. And ultimately, like I mentioned, I really believe that this sits at the core of everything that we desire, the feelings that we want to feel, of aliveness, of passion, of just feeling so lit up. I truly believe this is the answer. And yet it's not easy, but it is simple. And so I just want this episode to be a free-flowing conversation that is personal and that is just a heart-to-heart conversation, as if you were sitting right here next to me on this couch and we were just able to drop in and let down our masks, let down our walls, let down our fears, and just embrace it all. And so before we really dive in, I just invite you to close your eyes for a moment and just start by taking a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Wherever you are, can you just take one moment to land into your body, to come out of your mind, out of your responsibilities and to-dos and should-dos, and just drop into this moment for a second, noticing what's alive for you today, what feels alive in your heart, what sensations are present in your body. And without judgment or control or trying to change anything, just becoming aware And when you feel ready, you can just open your eyes again. Hopefully you're somewhere where you could actually follow along with that. But regardless, I just want us to land in this moment and ground ourselves. And hopefully, the invitation is to listen to this episode through the wisdom of your body rather than your mind. Allow it to land on a more energetic level and see what resonates with you. And as always, take what lands and leave what doesn't. These are all just ideas we get to play with, and your body will tell you what's true for you. So, as you know, if you've been following this podcast for a while, my story is one of living most of my life from my head to starting to really shift that. And I've made quite a 180. People that have met me recently, or, that's something that I get reflected a lot, is just how grounded I am, how intuitive I am. And it's something that I am really grateful to hear, because it wasn't always like that. I definitely created my life from a place of survival, which I know so many of us do. It's kind of the natural tendency of the mind, unless we are modeled a different way of living, which as a whole, this society is still very heady, very rigid in many ways, very structured, and not as connected to our feminine, to the flow of life, to intuition, to life force energy. And so the first half of my life was really based on rules, expectations, a lot of fear of doing it wrong, and a lot of observing how other people lived their lives and made decisions in order to try and get it right. Like, I was really just afraid of, really at the root of it, was afraid of rejection, afraid of getting it wrong, because that meant, being lonely, being left out to some degree. And I think that's one of our deepest fears as humans, is a lack of belonging. And so we are willing to abandon our own truth if it means that we garner a sense of safety and a sense of belonging to the tribe, right? And so I think meeting this part of ourselves is always kind of step one in order to actually create change. Because if we just judge it or try to force our way into change, it doesn't really make space for the parts of us that are genuinely just scared and trying to fit in for good reason, right? But what I've noticed is that, over time, as I lived a very heady life and very fear-based way of living, is that I became very disconnected from myself. I became extremely disconnected from my own intuition and from, whether you want to call it God or the universe or life itself, this greater intelligence that is beyond us. I was just not tapped in at all to that. And I think when we don't have that connection, we do really live a lot from the mind, because you have to trust in something, right? We only know so much. We only have so much control in this life. And it can be really overwhelming and really scary if there isn't something that we can kind of put our trust in. And so if we don't have trust to ourselves, we don't have trust in life, then our trust goes into logic, into structure, into planning, into controlling. And I think it can only lead us so far. And for those who are intuitive beings, who are tapped into energy, who are highly sensitive, who are deeply spiritual, I think we all are, but some of us know that more than others. I think that this really starts to show in our lives when we are becoming more and more disconnected. We start to feel off in many ways. And that, to me, started showing through health symptoms. My body started to show the stress that I was living within on a mental level and emotional level, from that chronic fear state of always trying to weigh out pros and cons and do things correctly and fit in and, play by the rules, so that I belonged, essentially, so that I was accepted, so that I lived the life that I thought was going to get me to where I wanted to be, to the feelings that I wanted to experience. And this is conditioning at its core. It's, learning how life should be and who you should be, and then trusting that more so than what is true for you in each moment. And within that, what I have really realized is that although the mind wants to control, the soul wants to experience. And that's where I think a lot of people feel this emptiness inside, where it's like, I'm doing all the right things. And on paper, my life is pretty good. You know, I've got the job, maybe I've got the partnership, maybe I've got the friends, I've traveled, whatever it may be for you. But something still feels just kind of dull, just lacking life, like lacking life force, you know? It's like that aliveness pulsating through your veins is a very different experience than just going through the motions of life and kind of repeating the same day over and over and just being like, well, hopefully when I get to my vacation, then I'll feel like really alive. But it like only lasts brief moments and doesn't, it's just, it's not, it's like, this is a conversation for the people who are like, there's more. And I don't know what it is, but I can feel it. I crave it. I have this longing to like live more fully, love more deeply, like just experience more of what life has to offer. Ultimately, the main thing that requires of us, if we really want to tap into a life, regardless of our circumstances right now, because it's never going to be perfect, like you kind of have to make that decision on your own of like, when am I going to choose to live my life instead of the life that I was taught I should want, right? And that commitment requires so much trust and surrender. And this is what I was saying earlier. It's like, if we don't have a faith in something greater than ourselves, then that can be hard. That can be really hard. And so to me, it's like step one comes through the power of surrender, the power of trust. And the only way that I think this is actually cultivated as a true experience for you that builds that trust over time, that you like know deep in your bones, is through lived experience. Like, someone can sit here all day and tell you how you should trust life and you should trust yourself and that it's worth it and it won't take you in the wrong direction. But at the end of the day, like, to go from intellect to wisdom, we have to live it for ourselves. We have to create that own lived proof for ourselves. And the only way to do that is to step into the fire, to jump into the unknown. And obviously you can do this, you know, one small step at a time. Although some people will take like a giant leap of faith because that's what they need, and that works for them. And to some degree, that kind of was my introduction into things. You know, one of the biggest examples that I have is moving to Colorado. I moved to Colorado in 2020, right when the pandemic hit. And all I knew was that I just felt this deep call to go to the mountains. I was just like, there's something in me that is telling me I need to go to the mountains. And I had never been to Colorado before. I didn't know a single person here. And it was the start of the pandemic. So logically, this made absolutely no sense. Very risky, you could say. It's like, well, what are you going to do there? You don't know anyone. You don't have a job in place. Like, you don't know what's going on in the world. Like, you know, you're going to be far away from family. All the things that on paper, every human being that is programmed the way that society is programmed, most of us would think that that's absolutely like crazy and not logical. And it's not. But this was one of my first big examples of how I was like, you know what? I am starting to really understand that my greatest recipe for success and happiness and fulfillment is trusting what is alive for me, what's true to me beyond what I've been told. And that commitment and that just full send into the unknown was the greatest thing that happened. And it took some time. You know, it's the kind of thing where it's like, you can't expect it to be perfect right away, because the whole point is that you're being taught along the way. But if you have trust, even when you can't see it yet, you just have trust in that knowing and that feeling and that thing that sparks you, then eventually in hindsight, you're like, oh, that all makes sense. And it takes working with the fears that come up, because essentially it's a huge ego death. Every time that you step into the unknown, that goes against everything that you've been taught, that goes against logic and the safety measures that you have put in place to keep your life, to keep yourself safe in this life, your ego is going to freak out. Your ego is your identity. It's this personality that you've created, this mental construct of who you are and what the world should be and how to operate within it, that starts to be shattered. And it's scary because you don't know what's on the other side of that. There's always risk involved. But to me, it's like, do the benefits outweigh the risk? And over time, you really start to see that like your intuition is worth trusting because it actually leads to the most authentic life and a life that truly makes you feel so alive. And over time, I have kept implementing this in small ways, whether it's following my business desires for my mission here and like what I actually want to build, whether it's following relationships and connections that feel deeply aligned and make me feel alive, whether it's moving to a new place, right? Or starting a new hobby or saying yes to an opportunity that I'm like, I don't know what this is, but something tells me like, yes, follow that, trust that. And it really comes down to being willing to embrace it all. And that is the lesson that's come through lately is like, can we create enough safety in our bodies and enough trust in life that we are willing to open up to all of it, like to the entire experience that comes with jumping into the unknown? Because you will be faced with fear. You will be faced with doubt. You will be faced with hardship. You will be faced with challenges and painful experiences, right? And deep fear alongside all the other experiences and all the other feelings that come with that. But every act that you take that is from a place of love, from a place of deep trust and intuition, is an act of faith. And so you can't avoid the potential risk, the heartbreak, the pain, the uncertainty if you desire to experience the magic that could be available on the other side of that discomfort. And I've been thinking about this a lot in the aspect of relationships, right? Of connections, of love. Like if we're not willing to embrace the potential heartbreak, then we may never experience love in all its different flavors. And we do this, for example, with dogs, right? Like you getting a dog is you knowing that at some point you're going to outlive this dog that you've built so much love for, that you've just come to love as just a core member of your family, knowing that at some point you're going to have to say goodbye and it's going to fucking hurt so bad. But are we willing to risk the pain, the heartbreak, the loss for the experience that is temporary? And I just know so deeply that I am here to experience all of it. We all are. Some of us just aren't open to it as much yet, but that's, I think, where we get in our own way and don't allow ourselves to say yes more often, to take the risk and therefore experience the fullness of being human. Like, yes, we are here to build and to grow and to evolve, but we're also here to just experience life. And I've been sitting a lot with the idea of like, what would I be proud of on my deathbed? Like looking back at my life when I am older and, getting ready to to leave this body. And I look back at my life, what am I going to be so proud of and so happy that I said yes to? How do I actually want to live my life in a way that doesn't make others proud, but that makes me proud? That makes me happy and thinking that, wow, I really made the most of it. Because we're not here to just make more money and, get more followers, and like all of that is fun. It's part of the game. It's part of being human, but it's the experiences that matter. And I think people are so afraid to get hurt, so afraid to feel rejected, so afraid of failure, so afraid of the messiness and the uncertainty that they hold themselves back from really living. They say no too much. They stay safe too much. They create rules for themselves that are just a disguise for fear. And I get that because it is really scary. Our comfort zone can be such a safe place for us because it's predictable. But is it really comfortable if there's constantly this inner voice telling you that there's something off or that there's more to life? And you keep suppressing that voice. You keep denying yourself of the pleasure and the potential joy that could come of you taking more risks, putting yourself out there more, saying yes, even if it scares the shit out of you. And I think that in order to trust ourselves and say yes more, it requires a certain level of inner work. Because ultimately, it is our nervous system and our capacity to be with discomfort, be with uncertainty, be with the fear that allows us to take the risk. If we don't have capacity, then our fear and our survival patterns will always make the choice to stay safe, to stay comfortable. And then we miss out on our lives. And we miss out on who we get to become through those experiences. So it's working with your nervous system and changing your mindset and really starting to put your trust in something greater, knowing that you are always guided in this life as long as you are following your intuition. That increases your capacity to be with all of it. And that is the only way, I believe, that we can actually live this life in this way. Because like I said, every risk is going to come with its uncertainty, with its challenge, with its fear. You can't avoid it. But if you want to experience deep love and just ecstatic experiences and aligned opportunities and just a life beyond your wildest dreams, you have to be able to hold all of it. And that is kind of the lesson here that I want to share with you is like the only way to live that way is to truly make space for all of the emotions and all of the experiences that come with that. When we're not so afraid of the discomfort, of the heartbreak, of the feelings that we've pushed away our whole lives and tried to avoid because they feel so scary, then you're actually able to embrace it. And that is the opportunity. It's like, okay, I know this is going to be hard. I know this is going to be scary. I know this is going to be messy. I know this is going to bring up so many parts of myself that I haven't, met in a long time. And I'm open to it. I know I can handle it. I know how to create safety in my body. I know how to breathe. I know how to trust life. Then you actually jump into the fire and you're not all guarded and tense and trying to avoid all the hard parts, which just makes for such an anxious experience where you're still closed off to life. And instead you just open yourself, you throw your hands up and you say, you know what? I'm here for all of it. Because it's all part of the human experience. And the whole point is to experience all of it. Not just the good parts, not just the love and the joy and the bliss, but the heartbreak and the pain and the grief and the struggle and the confusion. It is our ability to be with all of it that makes us feel alive. And that is the irony. We think that feeling alive only comes when we feel the good feelings. But I think that aliveness is just feeling, period. It's what makes you human and not a robot, is the fact that you feel. And so it's like, can we open our capacity to feel all of it? And then it doesn't become as scary because you know that, what if I just embrace it? It actually passes so much quicker. And through that, I actually learn. And this is my other point with all of this, is that it is only through experiencing life that we learn about ourselves, that we grow. I spent so much of my life trying to just grow through knowledge, absorbing podcasts, reading all the books, just taking in as much information as I possibly could to try and make sense of who I am and how to live life to the fullest. And that works to some degree. Knowledge is great. But knowledge only stays as knowledge if we don't actually put it into practice. It doesn't become your truth unless you have lived it. And I think too many people are waiting to live life more fully until they get to a certain point. It's like, oh, once I graduate college, or once I have the partner, or once I make this much money, then, I'll put myself out there more. Then I'll say yes more. Then I'll take more risks. Then I'll start my business. Then I'll start the podcast, whatever it may be. And again, I get that so deeply. Like, I'm not saying that I'm free of that, but I am on this journey of breaking through that because, there's so many reasons for it. One, we have no idea how long we have. You have no idea if you're going to get to a place where you're going to have X amount of money in your bank account and you're going to finally feel ready to say yes more to life. Like, life is happening right now. As cliche as it sounds, like, this is the only moment that exists. And when we can embrace that, not through a fearful lens, but through a lens where just things are put into perspective a little bit more, and you realize that it is a priority to make the most of it right now, that you're never going to feel ready enough, or that the circumstances are never going to align in such a perfect way that you're like, okay, now's the time. The time is whenever you choose is the time. When you say, now is the time for me to do this, for me to say yes to myself, for me to follow that nudge of my intuition, the whispers of my soul that I've been suppressing, that are the reason that I feel so off or that I feel so empty. We try to fill that void with all the external things that, again, we've been programmed to believe will make us happy. If I just buy new clothes, or if I just go on another vacation, or if I just, whatever it may be. And it's like these little hits of dopamine that never last, that aren't truly satisfying, and they're not nearly as exciting and enlivening as the experiences of just following what lights you up. And it takes a little bit of trial and error. It takes a little bit of exploration, because you are your own person. Your life is not supposed to look like anyone else's, so no one else can show you the way. We're inspired by other people, but notice what it is that makes you, whether it's jealous or inspired, that's a good sign that there's something there for you, that you get to create your own version of that. And again, it's just our capacity to be with all of life that then is that foundation, that anchor that helps us say yes and helps us just to freaking jump. We can't learn about life from the sidelines. We can only learn by living it fully. I feel like I have become so much more wise in the last few years because of this, because of putting this into practice. And it's been so messy at the same time. And that's the thing, is it's going to be messy. You're going to fall down. You're going to mess up. You're going to get to points where you're just like, what am I doing? I have no idea what I'm doing. And in fact, if you can embrace that as that's the whole point, that means you're doing it your way, instead of making it mean that you shouldn't be going in that direction and you need to figure it out and you're doing something wrong. Again, we get to interpret our lives however we want, but it's which interpretation is actually supportive to the life you actually desire. And so when we can see this whole journey as, wow, yeah, that's exactly the point. I'm not supposed to know. It's not my job to know how or when. It's only my job to know why. And your only why that you need is that feeling in your heart that when you tap into that potential, you get lit up. You have goosebumps. You have that energy moving through your body, that life force energy, which is literally your fuel for this life. We have to go experience it for ourselves in order to know. Learn by doing, learn by getting your hands dirty and going out there and just putting your heart out there, knowing that, yeah, it might break. Although we could get into that a little bit more. I think heartbreaking is heart opening, right? It's teaching you more. It's showing you deeper parts of yourself. It's growing your capacity to be with all of the sensations and to learn lessons that you would never have learned if you kept your heart guarded and safe and protected. To me, it's like I would rather experience heartbreak and pain and rejection and confusion if it means that I get to experience what is available on the other side of that. The joy, the love, the passion, the bliss, the ecstasy, the full, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is my life. Where it's like it's hard to even feel how alive you feel because you're just like vibrating at another level. Yeah, it's really just how willing are you to just trust that it's all happening for you. That even the points where you mess up and you fall and you are just so confused about which step to take next or whether this was all worth it or, just doubting everything. Like even that is the point. You are learning by doing, by living. It's like a child learning how to walk. You could never teach a child how to walk without actually letting it try. You can't just read a book about walking and then hope that it'll be a master the moment it takes its first step. It's not how life works. And yet in so many ways we live like that as adults. We have this desire to start this passion project or to like learn a new skill or to start a business or to reach out to someone, or there's just literally millions of opportunities in every day that we get. And we're like, oh, I don't feel ready enough. I don't know if I'm capable, or like, I don't know if that path is for me, or what if people judge me? And it's like, yeah, that is a risk. That is absolutely a potential. And would it be worth it if on the other side of that was everything that you wanted? If on the other side of that you get to meet yourself even deeper and gain more wisdom and find more clarity on your journey? People seek clarity a lot, right? Myself included. It's like we just want to know which direction to take, what option to choose. What am I supposed to do? Is this the right move or the wrong move, right? We want to know before we ever try. And again, that's just not the way life is designed. And when we can see that not as like unfortunate or scary, but instead as like the thrill of figuring it out as you go, it's like, it's the same, how they say that like fear, or what do they say? Anxiety and excitement or something are like this very similar feelings in your body. It's just energy that's like pulsating. It's like all your cells are vibrating because you feel so alive. And it's because you're both terrified and also stoked. Like that is the way that I choose to live my life. And it is unraveling more and more as I go and as I trust and as I take the leap of faith. And none of it is wasted time if you are allowing life to teach you. Life is your greatest teacher because it is your teacher. It is your life if you're doing it your way. And so rather than perceiving success as something that is permanent, what if we perceive success as just trying and learning along the way? Which means you're never failing. Because it's not a failure if you learn something from it. And you can't possibly not learn something. No matter what happens, you're going to learn something as long as you're open to that. If you don't get stuck in the story of like, oh, I knew this wasn't going to work out, or I knew this wasn't for me, or I knew I wasn't capable, then you're missing the opportunity of like, well, what did I learn from this experience? How did this grow my capacity, right? What do I now know that I didn't know before? And therein lies the whole point of life. It's just to learn about yourself, to learn about who you are, what you're capable of, what's possible, and to experience it all along the way. And on a deeper level, I also believe that like your soul came here with specific curriculum to move through, right? These are our subconscious stories, our main core stories that got activated in childhood that we play out, and the patterns that we continue to repeat. And in that way, I think that life teaches us by showing us where to go. And it might be not your preferential outcome, right? It might not be the most comfortable situation, but you will continue to meet yourself more deeply because life is your mirror. And so wherever it guides you, you can trust that this is part of your curriculum, part of your life path to help you get to know yourself, like both your limitations and your gifts. We rub up against the parts that are uncomfortable, but only when we put ourselves out there enough so that we can get triggered. But it is through that we have the opportunity to break free and actually let go of the perceived limitations that we came here to break free from, which is again our access point to living more authentically, more free, more embodied. And we also start to learn, wow, I didn't even know that was a skill I had. We see ourselves through other people's eyes the more that we relate with others. We learn from ourselves and our capacity when we jump into the fire and we say yes to a project or an opportunity that like we didn't think we were actually capable of. And then we realized, wow, I actually was really good at that. And so kind of going on a rant here, but at the end of the day, there's intellectual understanding and then there's embodied wisdom. And you're going to learn so much quicker and you're going to have so much more life to go off of when you choose to say yes more and follow your heart a little bit more. I don't think that your desires are placed in your heart for no reason. I really don't believe that. I think that everything that lights us up from the inside is there on purpose. And even if you at this point in your life don't think you're capable of achieving it, even though it lights you up, that's the work. Can you start taking one small step at a time and moving beyond the mental constructs and the fears and trusting the feeling more than you trust the fear? What is it that is calling you forward right now that you continue to say no to? Where are you not trusting yourself? Where are you being called to leap? So as we start to wrap this up, I pose these questions for you so that you can start to ask yourself, like, where am I holding myself back? Where do I keep trying to fit into a box that actually isn't what I want? That might be a job that you got a degree in and that you've made money in and that you're secure in, so to speak. It's not real security, I think, but I understand that it feels that way. And, logically, again, this might make all the sense in the world to stay and keep trying to make it work and just climb the ladder. But is your soul screaming at you to let go, to go in a different direction, to trust the desire on your heart? Maybe it's a relationship that deep down you're like, I don't know about this. Or maybe you do know and you want to go all in. Like whatever it is, there's millions of ways that our intuition speaks to us, but are we willing to trust it? Knowing that it's not just your desires, but it's something much greater than you. It's life moving through you, trying to show you the way, trying to show you your authentic path. And ultimately, that is going to be of the highest alignment, not just for you, but for everyone. It's not selfish to do what you love. It's actually the most powerful thing you can do, because not only do you become a walking permission slip for other people to do the same, and imagine living in a world where people truly honored themselves and their intuitions and their callings, but also it is the highest path of alignment. Because again, it's not just coming from you and your ego mind. If it's really coming from your heart and your intuition, it's coming from something greater than you. And that's why it doesn't make sense logically. That's why sometimes you look at it and you're like, what? This makes no sense. Like, this goes against everything I've ever been taught. And it's like, that's the stuff. That's the stuff that it's like, to the degree that it scares you is the degree to which it's worth it, I think. As long as it's coming from you, right? And from that deeper knowing. And so my invitation to you is like, trust yourself a little more, trust life a little bit more, ask questions of not, why is this happening to me? Or like, why is it so hard? But more so like, what am I being called into? What's true for me in this moment? What feels alive, even though it's scary? And can I start to trust love more over fear? Can I trust that I am held in each moment, even if it's scary, even if it hurts? Can I trust that there's something for me here, even if it doesn't work out the way that my mind thinks it should? And what if it does? And what if it does? Would it be worth it if you actually achieved the impossible? Would it be worth it if you got to the other side and thought, wow, I never thought I would be capable of that? Or I never thought this would work out. Like, I want you to live life to the fullest. I want myself to live life to the fullest and really just recognize what a gift it is to be given this human experience, even though it's fucking hard, even though it's so confusing at times, even though it's painful. But can we embrace the pain? Can we recognize that actually, if you soften into it, it's actually not that hard to move through it? Can we find the beauty and the uncertainty and the messiness and the humanness and trust in something greater, and trust in our capacity to be with all of it because we are held by something much greater than ourselves? It is the resistance to the experiences that is hard. It's not actually the experience itself, because it's all temporary. And feelings are just sensations. And again, you can interpret them as sensations that make you feel alive. If you're not trying to push them away and suppress them and make them mean something about you, then you're just in this constant flow with life where it's taking you from one thing to another, and you're experiencing this, and the next moment you're experiencing that, and you're just like, whoa. If you're not clinging and hanging on and trying to control it, then you're just on this roller coaster that is taking you on a ride, and you're strapped in and you're like, I surrender. And let me tell you, it is the most exciting and thrilling way to live. And it teaches you so much about yourself and the world, and it increases your capacity to be with this human experience, which is what we're here for. You can handle so much more than your mind thinks you can. But you can only prove that to yourself by actually taking the risks. Choosing love, choosing your intuition, choosing the creative pursuit, choosing whatever it is that sets your soul on fire, and just being like, you know what? I'm going to be okay no matter what. But at least I know I tried. At least I know I tried. So whatever it is that your heart is calling you forward into, that nudge that you know is there, no matter how much you try and fight it and reason your way out of it, I encourage you to just try it. Just take one step. You don't have to have the whole path figured out. You actually won't. If you do, then you're not following your own path. It's supposed to be unknown. But know that the unknown is full of possibility. Literally, there's more potential in the unknown than anywhere else. Our minds will always try to go to like what could go wrong as a way to try and protect you. And that's normal. But what we're missing is everything that could go right. And even what you can predict that could go right is only a fraction of what's actually available. So like, what if you let life surprise you? What if you just allow it to be this mysterious but like enticing experience. And you're just along for the ride, and your only flashlight is your own intuition, the feelings in your body, the yes in your soul. That's my invitation to you. If this lands for you, let me know. I would love to hear from you. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'll put my handle below. But yeah, I really don't think it's as scary as our minds make it out to be. But the only way that we can know that is by trying it. So thank you for listening. Thanks for being a part of this unfolding. I am in this journey right alongside you. And yeah, I just want to be living proof that living this way with your heart fully open and your intuition guiding you in every moment is the way. It's the only way. And I hope that we all get to look back on our lives and say, you know what? I can't take the money with me. I can't take the fame with me. I can't take any of it with me. But the experiences, that's what mattered. And I said yes as much as I possibly could. All right, you guys. I love you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.